Hi guys, how you doing? So, this is going to be a very quick tutorial and slightly different from the last time I did UV mapping and texturing. Because when I did that previously, we couldn't talk about a lot of the stuff that was given to us as part of the tooling in the Meta Horizon Creators program, the MHCP. But as of the 21st of November, the pauses have lifted on that tooling, so we can now talk about it, which means I can do a full tutorial for you and not skip any bits out that I couldn't previously talk about. So without any further ado, let's walk through a very simple texturing, UV mapping and uploading process. Just a quick intermission. Thank you so much for coming here today. I hope this is useful to you. Please do remember to like, share, and even throw me a subscribe if you found this useful. I'll be aiming to do more. It gives me feedback on sort of what people are enjoying, so it allows me to focus more on the content that is, useful or funny to people. So, let me know either way. Just hit that like button or throw your sub, and I'll know that I'm doing it right, and I'll make more. Thank you. So I'll keep it really, really brief. If you need fuller detail, do go back and watch the other video. I don't want to rehash all that again, because for those of you who have already seen it, it'll be quite boring. So, first thing I need you to do, you'll have to pause the video in a sec. I want to source two images, okay? The first one needs to be a flat brick texture, and the other one needs to be a flat painted texture. So, I'll give you a little bit of a demonstration, just sort of up here, what I'm expecting. So 2 images, one brick, one painted. Pause the video now, go acquire them. Okay, so now you've done that, just a quick word that in the Horizon Worlds custom model import, the CMI as it's sometimes referred, you can upload FBX files, okay, which are the 3D models, which we'll export in just a moment. And you have to provide the textures that you use in a PNG format. That's very important. You can't upload JPEGs, they will not work. Blender supports JPEGs, but CMI does not. So use a paint package such as, if you've got Photoshop, great. If you've got Affinity Photo, great. If you've got Paint.net, that's a really good free one that will cover all of your needs in terms of sort of basic editing and resizing and then saving to different formats so you can then create your PNGs. So once you've done that, once you've done that, let's turn to Blender. I've saved them as just like painted and brick.png. We'll come back to the naming in a sec because the naming is super important. You have to get a wrangle on that, okay, for this to work. Okay, once we've cleared our C, I'm just going to do a Shift and A, and I'm going to say, create, and the mesh, we're going to go with a cube, okay? So I'm going to scale that upwards just a bit to there. Wonderful. And then I'm going to press Tab, which takes me into edit mode. And then I'm going to hit face select mode just at the top there. And then I'm going to hit the top face. And then I'm going to press F3 and go for inset faces. Okay, if I just move the mouse a little bit, you can see it's actually insetting a face there. And I'm going to click there. And then I'm going to press E to extrude that downwards. Okay, bit of a mess, but here we go. Couldn't really see where I was going, but I think we are... Oh, we've got a bit too low there. So if I just press G, or press Z, I can actually bring that up a bit. So I've made it sort of a little sort of room interior, I guess. Now I'm going to press Tab here to come out of here, okay? So if I have a look at materials down the bottom right now, you'll notice that there are no materials on this object. So I'm going to create 2 materials. Now remember those 2 names of those files that we had before, painted and brick. I'm going to create 1 material by hitting new and typing in, just double click on this, painted, okay? And then I'm going to go to base color, this little yellow dot here. I'm going to click that. I'm going to say image texture. Then I'm going to find my way. When I click open, when I click open, I'm going to find my way to where I saved those two images, and I'm going to say painted, and select painted. There you go. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add another texture. And this, I'm going to say, click on new. Then I'm going to go to this yellow dot again and say, image texture, click open. So I'm going to find my way to that directory again, and we're going to hit bright.png. Great. So, just at the top right now, there is viewport shading. There's one called material preview. So if I click on that, you can actually see that the base texture on that has kind of gone to the first texture, the painted one. And I've just noticed actually the second material I created, material 0001 or whatever, I need to double click that and call it brick. Okay, that's important, guys. Very important. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into edit mode by selecting the object and pressing tab. Okay. Then I'm going to select all. Make sure I'm in faces select mode. Okay. I'm going to press A to select all. And then I'm going to click on brick and I'm going to hit this assign button. Pow. There we go. So that's assigned the brick image to that. Now on the interior wall, I want to assign the painted thing. So I'm going to click on that. And then I'm just going to orbit round. I'm going to hold down shift, tick on the second, orbit round, hold down shift, tick on the third, orbit, hold down shift, click on the fourth. And then I'm going to select painted on the right here and hit the assign button. So that now assigns the second texture to the interior of that cube, which is wonderful, okay? Now you'll notice it's all quite a bit screwed out because the actual textures do not look like that. So we're going to briefly go into UV mapping, and again, if you need me to go slower on this, I do have a prior video on this. But if I say in UV mapping, do cube projection, you can see that that's actually looped the image around on every single surface, which is fine for now. That's fine. There are other ways of doing this, but again, that goes into more advanced sort of stuff. Now, with these four sides selected, I'm going to go up to the select menu at the top and say invert selection. So that's, you can also press Control I to do that, by the way, there's a shortcut. So if I do invert there, that's now selected every surface that's not the painted surface that I just applied. And I'm going to go into UV wrapping here, and I'm going to say again, cube projection. Great, here we go. Now you can see there's a little bit of an anomaly because this isn't the best texture that I've used. So again, to sort of solve this issue, what I can do is I can select the sides that got a bit messed up. Okay, so I'm just going to select these four. I leave the bottom looks okay, and then these bits look okay. Well, but if I go into the UV editing section at the top here, and I just zoom out of this, you can see that's why we've got that. Let me just move this over and tick on the material preview setting. Well, so you can see that this overlap is why it's affecting me look back on this bit up here. So I'm actually gonna, with those side selectors, these are my overlapping UV faces. I'm gonna press with my mouse pointer on this side. I'm gonna press G. Oh, sorry, I have to select these. Then I'm gonna press G and watch what happens on the right when I move this. So G and move. There we go. So I'm just squaring that up to a bit there. That seems about right. So we've now UV mapped those bits as well. That's wonderful. So we'll come back to layout. And that's now done. So very simply what we're going to do is we are going to, well, we're going to save this. So I'm going to save it in the same directory as where we put our images, okay? And I'm going to call it Simple Room. Okay. Simple Room.blend it is. So you can see that's now happily sat there. Now, the naming of things, the materials and the textures is incredibly important. So now this is the bit that I didn't cover on the previous video intentionally. So you'll notice we've got painted and brick, but that are both PNGs, okay? But over here I've got materials that are called painted and brick. So they match, right? They've got to match exactly. However, there's one slight thing. With the standard sort of roughness materials, which is what we're using here. We're not doing anything too special. You've got to give the file names the same name as the material, but with an underscore BR on the end. So if I go over here and I put underscore BR after brick, and I rename the painted texture, and I put underscore BR here, okay? That is now compliant. You can see the materials, painted and brick in Blender, has to match the file names with an underscore BR. That is the sort of the basic material convention in Horizon Worlds. There are more advanced facets than that I won't be covering on this session, but they need to match. If they don't match, you're going to get errors. In fact, I'm probably going to intentionally screw one up just so you can see. So if I rename the brick texture to, let's take the K on brick. Okay, so now I'm going to go over to Horizon Worlds. Yeah, so to get into your Horizon Creator dashboard, guys, now again, remember, you have to be on the Meta Horizon Creator program to do this. If you're not, you will not be able to do this. Very, very important. Horizon.meta.com. Okay, log in if you have to, if you're not already logged in. And then in that menu at the top right, there's a Creator Tools section. So you click on Creator Tools in that menu. And give it just a moment. Now, on the left-hand side, you'll have a My Assets section, okay? So you click on that, and then you can select a folder. So you can create a folder if you want to be tidy about it, of course. But what we're going to do is we're going to hit the Import button at the top right. We're going to import a 3D model. Now, we can't import Blender files directly. So what we're going to do with the simple room blend that we have here is we're going to go into Export and the File menu, and then SBX. Okay, we're going to save that into our demo folder as simpleroom.fbx. Yeah. So what we're now going to do, bear in mind our SBX contains those two materials, painted and brick, that map to painted and brick, intentionally spelt brick wrong. Right, we're going to try pulling that in. So we drag and drop that into here, or we can click the choose files on your device, and you can see a summary of what we're uploading just here. I'm going to uncheck preserve offset pivots because that tends to throw warnings. So just so we don't distract ourselves, it is one object. I don't think I need that. So if I say import, we just give it a second. Now remember, this is not going to work because we messed up one of the file names. This is just to demonstrate how this works, and also how to read the error messages and sort of self-save your own problems if you run into this. Because, yeah, it does happen. People do make mistakes. Okay. So you can see this little kind thing up here is basically telling us that it's thinking about it. Great, we've got an error message. So the red triangle with the exclamation mark is telling us there's an error. If we hover over that, expect the base texture named brick BR for material brick, but did not find, please replace the asset file. So did not find a material to be used with a brick underscore BR. So what that's telling us in two directions is that the material couldn't find a file with the same name, but then the file that we uploaded didn't seem to have material with the same name. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to fix that. And I'm going to correct the name of that brick.br by putting in that K that I deleted. So I'm going to highlight the FBX and the brick.br underscore BR and the painted underscore BR. I'm going to go back over to here. I'm going to click edit. Okay. Then I'm going to drag those three files into here. Okay. And I hit save. We just give it a moment. So it says edit saved. And then we get this little time icon popping up again on it. It doesn't take long. Process successfully. Bingo! So that asset is now ready to use. If I went into a new Trimesh build on Horizon Worlds, I could actually pull that out of my assets. I could pull that out of my assets and I'd use that. So that is the end of the tutorial. Now, just a few last words on that, right? When you're bringing images in, be a little bit cautious as to how big those images are, okay? I've seen a lot of Trimesh builds come in with images that are just not optimized. And it means when people load into your worlds, they're still around like lemons for about a minute waiting for all those images to load. So the general guidance is that, remember, we are not running Horizons on the latest sort of souped up graphics cards, right? The majority of your user base is running just on headset natively. Now these things are pretty capable, but try and generally keep your textures to 512 by 512 in size. And again, remember, you can resize using paint.net. If they have to be particularly big ones, maybe aim for 1024 by 1024. I think the only reason you should be using 8K or even 4K textures right now on these headsets is probably for skyboxes, or maybe even if you go into some of the more advanced sort of UV packing techniques. But honestly, if you're just starting out, just stick to 512 by 512 or 1024 by 1024. Remember, there is a size constraint. You cannot upload, and try to think now, you can't upload more than 50 megabytes, I believe. Yeah, the maximum file size is 50 megabytes. That's not something to aim for, though. Because remember, every time someone visits your world, it has to download all that gumph. So if you've just created massive texture files all over the place, that's some more downloading that it has to do. And then it has to run them on the headset. But the other tip I would give you is do install something called OVR Metrics. It's in the store, and you can use it as an overlay to check frame rates. Now, you should be averaging at 69 frames per second. If you're lower than that, you might be making people nauseous. So with Horizons, you'll notice that the best artists on here are not jamming everything into their worlds all at once without paying attention to what they're doing. What they're doing is they're making the illusion that things are far more complex than they actually are, which is why they're so performant on headsets. If you look at some of the best sort of worlds on here, certainly the Trimesh ones, both official and non-official, they will be running at high frame rates, and they'll make you think that they're far more complex than they actually are, but in truth they've been very well sculpted to run performantly, and also, wow you with how complex they appear to be. There's a lot of visual illusions going on, so just bear that one in mind. Yeah. Queen. Alright, end of tutorial.